is as corrupt as any politician that has been kicked out of Parliament.
And did you get the email that I tried to send to him this morning?
Well, he's blocked all my emails as well, which is non-constitutional, because the points that I've raised...
So you have not received an email from me this morning?
Yes, I received it.
Alright, okay.
Yeah.
The one that was directed to him and to my MP
and Margaret Beckett.
And to Miss Beckett. You received that?
Yes, I received that. But what happens is that because I confronted Chris Williamson with evidence of massive Conservative Party corruption, which also interlocked to Tony Blair's corruption with the UI Energy in northern Iraq, for which there was great publication and ridicule of Tony Blair, given what was the war really about in Iraq. Was it for oil, where he's now grinding his fingers and raking millions in? Yeah, so Chris Williamson blocked me from my email filing list, but he, Ranjit Banwaite, who has now taken over the Derbyshire Council, the Labour-controlled Derby Council, is also corrupt, because I gave him the same documents about Andrea Davidson, and they've all run away. They've run away like frightened sheep.
So that's why I was suggesting in one of the emails or our conversation this morning that you send me the letters that you've sent to them implicating the local police force and the MPs in the cover-up of murders and the Arms for Iraq inquiries. Even although those are indirectly related to your correspondence, I want the people of the country to know that your MPs are part of the cover-up, like my MP is. My MP will not even reply to my emails now.
Well, the same as myself. It's not the fact that the MPs have a duty. They are public paid servants. They were appointed to represent the people of their constituency, to confront issues of national importance and great significance. And this is why I got quite irate with Chris Williamson, was because I know he lied. He lied to me with regard to documents I requested him to expose in Parliament. And when he came back, he sent a letter with letterhead on crested letterhead paper, totally ignoring exactly what was disclosed to him. He completely reverted to some other issues which was not what I reported to him, the documents that I gave him. So I know he's corrupt because I've confronted him in public. To tell him that he's a liar, he should be thrown out of the Labour Party, along with Ranjit Banwaite and Margaret Beckett, because they're all conspiring to keep this information from the public, not only the public of Derby, but the public in Parliament. By in a Q&A, the request I made to him was to expose Andrea Davidson's involvement with purportedly being an arms to Iraq investigator, who was then purportedly working for the Select Committee of the Department of Trade and Industry. And this expose would have brought about perhaps using the Foreign Office to insist the Venezuelan government track down Miss Davidson and bring her back to answer these allegations or the affidavit statements that she's made in public. Now I know 100%, and I can prove in any court of law, Andrea Davidson was working for a massive international organised crime network linked to the alternative investment market penny stock, which is stealing hundreds, and I mean this, hundreds of billions of pounds by...
Well, that's the reason why I send my emails to, the stock market people that front up on the publicity for the stock market, and they always send me a confirmation of receipt with the title of the topic.
That's right. Even with Vince Cable, unfortunately, they have no leg to stand on, because when you send them an email to a business correspondence for the positions that they hold in government, you will get back an automated reply to say they've received it. And I had a letter from the business secretary of Vince Cable to say that they would be studying my email, and refer back. Now, my point would be, if they are responsible for protecting the financial interests of this country, then all I can say is that they should start building about 3 massive jails, because the amount of people this implicates is horrendous.
But you've explained to me already this week that is the reason why they are chosen for political office. It makes them coercible because they've got sins.
Well, exactly, because Andrea Davidson was running a honey trap club in Bangor.
So could you remind me again about the links between Andrea Davidson and Kevin Cahill?
Well, just let's
the advisor
right.
to a variety of prime ministers and to people like Gerry Adams and
George, look, let's get it right. For a start, you have to get the lady's name right.
Okay, it's Davison.
Davison.
Yeah, okay.
That's Delta, Alpha, Victor, India, Sierra.
But we've dedicated a couple of hours to her now. I want to move on to Malcolm Rifkind, Gerry Adams, Gordon Brown, the advisors like Cahill to presidents, prime ministers, secretary of states for Northern Ireland during the midst of the turmoil for those periods.
Well, it's quite simple. It's quite simple, George. Andrea Davidson was selling and making fake share certificates for oil and gas and mining companies, which then those share certificates were then moved to multiple other boiler rooms, who then cold sold those shares and issued those fake share certificates. That's one of the things that she was arrested for and convicted on. But her links come through a gentleman named Anthony Craven Walker and his companies on the alternative investment market, which was Sarika Energy and a network of any subsidiaries. And they were next door to Andrea Davidson at that honey trap club in Bangor.
That's the Club Odessa, the Russian singles club.
Yeah, Russian anti-singles club, which was run by Elvin Cecil Lay and Jules Lay and Andrea Davidson, also operated out of that same address as that club, because her profile on AF Bio on 25th of September 2002 lists the address as 32 Bangor Street, which is the address that police raided. However, on January the 27th 2003, her address was listed as 14 Menai View, Bangor, which is the same address as Club Odessa. Hence the need to have correct forensic documents that show the interlocks between people and this massive fraud network who are stealing billions from banks like the Royal Bank of Scotland. And this is where I can show direct lineage through companies and directors to show how these people are really taking the mickey. They are taking the mickey, stealing billions.
So at that point, could we introduce the links to Cahill?
Alright, Kevin James Cahill, which is in the documents that I sent you, regarding the trial in the Mould Crown Court, the in absence trial, because she'd already fled 2 days or 3 days before to Venezuela without, I don't know what passport she had, but I would have assumed if she was on police bail, the police would have secured her passport. hence my sort of confrontations with the Derbyshire police. However, her only defence witness in her in absence trial was Kevin James Cahill. Now, Kevin James Cahill, you can read from his online Wikipedia biography, was the intelligence advisor to Lord Paddy Ashdown and ex-Prime Minister Gordon Brown, and who is currently the advisor to Lord Laird Artevagan, who was recently exposed in a undercover sting by journalists where he was accepting money for privileges.
So can I just go, so that's Paddy Ashdown.
Yeah, Lord Paddy Ashdown.
Yeah, Gordon Brown, Prime Minister, and Artevagan. What?
Lord Laird Artevagan.
I've got images of them on my screen at the moment.
Okay.
And Martin Sorrell, was he was in the profiteering network in Ireland, but was not linked to the advisory services of Cahill in any way?
Well, not that I've gone into, I can only focus on what I can prove 100%. And when I have the correspondence between myself and Kevin James Cahill, when I confronted him about his appearance as a defence witness. And in the correspondence that I have...
And when we began to discuss this 2 weeks ago,
yeah,
Gerry Adams was dragged back into the media limelight as a diversion from the financial crimes that impact on all of the world's people.
Well, I don't know whether it's a deliberate distraction, but what I'm saying to you is that with a man so well connected in the corridors of power in Parliament, Kevin James Cahill, what I found extremely strange is, if this woman, Andrea Davidson, was a mere minion, why was such an important person called upon to give evidence in her defence that she worked for the intelligence services? Do you get what I'm trying to say to you?
But part of that question is sort of shadowed by the fact that we do not know for sure whether Kevin Cahill is the CEO at the Red Nose Day fundraising scam.
Exactly. Now, if that is the case, as I confronted Cahill, that takes it into...
Let me just put some images up of the people that are involved in the Red Nose Day profiteering scams at the people of, the developing countries' expense.
Exactly.
I've got some images there, but they're a little bit further back. So there's J.K. Rowling, who's on the board as a director. The Olympian who won the rowing medals, I keep forgetting his name, Redgrave. Sir Stephen Redgrave.
Well, to promote any sort of fundraising, if you've got profile celebrities, it all adds to the convincing smoke and mirrors if you were to deal massive money laundering through charities. And hence my reference then was Kevin James Cahill in any way related to Kevin Cahill of that same charity? Because
and the more important link of that charity to the Prime Minister is through the Chipping Norton set and the Freud family to Elizabeth Murdoch.
Exactly.
Remember that we're talking about the controllers of the world who are in a social network with the Prime Minister of the UK in Chipping Norton.
Exactly. This is why I said to you from the beginning.
And just let me remind you that all of those people have pathologies in the family as a consequence. Well, J.K. Rowling, her family suffers from MS. The rower has diabetes, chronic diabetes, still investigating what's going on in the bowels of Chipping Norton.
Okay, let's stay focused on say Kevin Cahill. If Kevin Cahill is Kevin James Cahill, or in any way related to him, based upon the correspondence that I have, the personal correspondence in emails which are legally can be used in a court of law for evidence. What it clearly points out is that Kevin Cahill has admitted, and is in his biography, he worked with Pete Sawyer, who was Andrea Davidson's tag-along journalist since 1989, when they got together developing stories for Scallywag magazine, the political satire magazine, which was funded by Azil Nadir.
And Kevin Cahill, the advisor to Prime Ministers and Secretaries of State for Ireland, confirms that his trading address is right next to the MI6 building. I've forgotten the part of London that's in.
Yeah,
but he's made videos and he's confirmed that is where his office is.
Yes.
And that would also tie him into Andrea Davidson with the MI6 network and their commitments to money laundering.
Oh, 100%.
Can I just read a list of the comic relief figureheads that appear on TV all the time?
Yeah.
Sometimes with militias, as in the photo that I'm now showing you, in sub-Saharan Africa, armed to the teeth with automatic weapons. So those figureheads and leaders of society are Richard Curtis, Lenny Henry, Jonathan Ross, Davina McCall, Dermot O'Leary, Russell Brand, David Tennant of the tax haven fame, Claudia Winkleman, Alan Carr, James Corden, Michael McIntyre, Jack Whitehall, John Bishop, Rob Brydon, who got a knighthood recently for part of the cover-up at Barry Island of what was happening in the Iraq conflict. David Walliams. There is a fuller list than that. These are leaders of society. They appear on screen all the time. They are not directors of that organisation, but they're raising funds for the directors that we've mentioned. Leaders of the country, leaders of the nation, who potentially are involved as intel operatives, and they are certainly involved in massive laundering scams that we're going to go on to describe.
Yeah, well, as I said, is that when I confronted Cahill in correspondence to ask was he related in any way to Cahill for Malaria No More United Kingdom, because within a short period of time after it was known that I was confronting Cahill about his association with a massive money launderer, first one to resign was what's her name?
Rebecca Brooks.
Exactly, Rebecca Brooks.
So let me just remind the listeners that Rebecca Brooks is also in the Prime Minister's drinking club at Chipping Norton. Yep. She is in a number of scams that involve recruitment of ex-servicemen into private security systems with General Sir Mike Jackson, who is on record as a bragger at Hansard about how much money he can make now in the private security sector, having been a general and commander-in-chief of NATO's armies in the brutalised Balkans, where the local people were convicted of war crimes.
Right, now
carry on. I've just got an image now of Cahill's contribution to British Airways PLC, and I've got a slide up there of the directors and shareholders of the Irish subsidiary of that. There are none.
Yeah, well, as I said, is that you can follow using two basic search engines. One which is Company Check or Vector Check, which is the same one, or in the UK Limited. And by using those two simple search engines, you can get a better overview by printing off the documents to show common directors, to see how you get an overlapping network of directors who play musical chairs in companies which have a total financial collapse, having been asset stripped. And this is what I believe that it's all about. It's, if you want to rob a bank, if you were to walk in with a mask on and a shotgun, the police would be hunting you till the day you died, and it would be recorded as such. However, if you are infiltrating a network of directors to control the board of directors, you can rob the bank from the inside, and this is what they're doing. And that's why I said to you, I can definitely trace these fake oil and gas and mining companies to people that held key responsibilities in major banks, especially the Royal Bank of Scotland. And these are the people that authorised the purchase by the bank of worthless shares in these fake oil and gas and mining companies, which then went on to totally collapse, rechange their names, go back to the bank, to sell more bulk shares under a different network of directors, and then asset strip it again and again and again under various exotic names.
So
and that's what they do.
Can we move, before we illustrate that concept, I'm going to stop this video now because I've got an image of Kevin Cahill, the advisor to presidents and to Irish heads of state.
Exactly.
And on his website he declares that he understands who owns the world. He's written a book about it. That's Kevin Cahill with Rob McMahon, and he's shown on the image. If the listeners look up behind the scenes with the CEO of Comic Relief, which is British Airways' new charity partner, and then you go to the British Airways site on the directory check function, you will find that it is just a Ponzi shell for this money laundering purpose, and it is obscene that that is happening at the head of British government. But I want to take us to another topic which we've discussed already, and I'm going to make a separate video on that. That is the topic of Rifkind and Chilcot and the Abrexa shells that allowed us to profit from the arms to Iraq scandal, and we've already profiled how the inquest into that has been covered up by allowing people to flee from justice to different continents. So can we move to Rifkind and Abrexa, and I'll stop the video at this point and start a new one?
No, that's fine.
Okay.